2, 3, 4, 5.
5. Hey guys, it's week 5. It's the last week of our focus season, and as we were reminded of Sunday, this isn't the end. The idea of focus seasons is that we change the culture of our church, and for this season in particular, we wanted to change the way that we understood and approached outreach and evangelism. So let's take a moment to recap the past 4 weeks. Week 1 was seeing people. We wanted to challenge ourselves to see people differently, to see through the mud and straight to the masterpiece. Week 2 was seeing needs. We wanted to see the real issues that people face, and we wanted to see them clearly. We wanted to recognize that shalom meant finding wholeness in every area of our life, our spiritual, our personal, our material, and our social. Week 3 was seeing opportunities. We wanted to see the opportunities that were all around us, to share our faith and to let people know about Jesus. Week 4, last week, was seeing solutions. We talked about seeing solutions and what it looked like to be sensitive to helping people in a way that helps them and doesn't actually end up hurting them. Finally, this week, Pastor Kory challenged us to be intentional about cultivating a culture that is life-giving and not draining. We looked at Hebrews chapter 13, verses 1 through 3, and in that passage, we found that there were 3 characteristics of a life-giving culture. The first one was authentic community. For Jesus and for the early church, it was a primary goal that Christians would love one another with this affectionate, familial love, that we would actually like each other. We're to love one another as brothers and sisters, and to love our family as they are, not as we want them to be. We're to know each other's flaws and shortcomings and even carry each other's secrets and stick together anyway, just like family. We can't be afraid to show our mud, or else we won't be able to ever deal with our mud. That's why one of the core values of our small groups is friendships. And that's why we have rec weeks. We think it's important for our people to have fun together, to like each other, to experience deep, genuine connection. And so we're intentional about it. Number 2, radical hospitality. Not only are we supposed to love each other, but we're supposed to love the other. We're supposed to love the stranger. We're supposed to love those that are outside of the community with the same kind of love that we show to those within the community. The goal of radical hospitality is to see them as us. That means accepting everyone as they are and recognizing that they belong even if they don't believe. Number 3, unrivaled compassion. I love that phrase, unrivaled compassion. We need to empathize with people. We need to be willing to relate with people. We have to be willing to say to each other, you are part of my body. I am part of the body. If the toe hurts, the head feels it, right? Paul says this in a letter to Corinthians where he says there should be harmony among believers so that all the members care for each other. If one part suffers, all the parts suffer with it. If one part is honored, all the parts are glad. Man, that's a tall order. Think about that for a moment. If somebody in your church is suffering, then you're supposed to suffer too. Everyone is. That requires us to live intentionally. So here's what we want you to do with your small groups. Share your testimonies with each other. Where are you at in your walk with God? How did you get there? How has your life changed because of God? This will give you a chance to get to know each other more. Also, sharing your story with your small group will help you to be more natural when you share your story with your coworkers, your neighbors, your family, and your friends. There's something else that happens when you share your story. Have you ever met someone that has to think out loud? Or maybe you, from time to time, think out loud. Turning your ambiguous thoughts and ideas into words and sentences makes everything more concrete. An added bonus of sharing your story is that your faith becomes more real and more solid each time that you do. So share your stories with each other. Remember that if there are 10 of you and you each end up talking for 5 minutes, then that's 50 minutes of your time. So try to keep your testimony somewhere between 3 and 5 minutes. If there's any time left, go over the questions in your booklet and talk about what it could look like to live out Hebrews 13, 1-3 in our world today. what does it look like to love one another, to show hospitality, and to show that unrivaled compassion?